Hi everyone. I just wanted to make a video about how I met Jesus and how it all happened and just honestly all the amazing things. So I'll start off. I'll start off from the beginning. When I was a wee girl, I grew up in church. So I grew up in church. With my family. So we would have went to church every single Sunday, and it just felt normal. Like to me, it felt normal. Like that's what you sort of did. Like that was just all normal for me. And when I started getting a wee bit older, there was so many things that was happening in my life. Like um, there was members of my family, like close members of my family, would have struggled with addictions, like drug addictions, alcohol addictions, and my mom and my dad ended up getting a divorce and splitting up. So that's how we ended up stopped going to church. Um, so my mom sort of came away from church a wee bit, and we would have all came away too. So basically, um, I'll just like skip on to when I was like in high school. So I went to high school. I was first year. I made some friends that were Christians, and I would have been like, yeah, like I believe there's a God. Like I believe in that stuff. Like I grew up with all that stuff, and I had a really good group of friends. And my first couple of years in high school were good. Like they were really good. And I would have been a really good student. Um, I would have been always the teacher's pet, to be honest. And I feel like the older I was getting, I was more like, there must be more to life than this. Like, I don't want to do all these things. Like, I kind of want to explore more. I want to go out partying. I want to make more friends. I wanted to be popular. So I end up meeting friends, and we would have drunk from a really young age, and we started getting high really young. Like I think the first time I tried drugs I was only 13. So my life started going downhill from there. When it came to like drugs, alcohol, fighting, um and I ended up losing the good friends I had because I made really bad decisions in my life. So but there was like major things that happened to me. I think I was so angry because so many things happened in my childhood, and I don't really want to specify everything right now, but I will at some point. Um, that I was just so angry. I was so angry and so bitter. Like I would have been like, why me? Why do I deserve all these things that happened to me? It's not fair. Like I just felt like I didn't deserve any of it. So I ended up becoming very angry and very bitter. So I think when I was drinking and stuff, it kind of didn't help. I started being awful to my mum and my stepdad. I would have been awful to them, fighting with them all the time, like trying to run away, trying to walk out of my house, getting in trouble. I was always getting in trouble in school at this point. Like I was fighting with teachers, arguing back to teachers. I think I just had a really like huge rebellious stage of my life. But then something happened to me when I was 14 and I hurt someone, but it wasn't like I didn't intentionally mean to hurt them, and they end up having to get surgery, and I think that absolutely broke me. It absolutely broke me. I think the thought that I done something awful to somebody, my conscience couldn't take it. So I fell into extreme deep depression, and I was so suicidal. And I think I was about 14 at the time. I was so suicidal. I just wanted to end my life. I couldn't take the guilt. I couldn't take the guilt, and I wasn't focusing in school. I would have just went to school. I went to school to see if the person was okay and that I knew they were going to be okay. So then it would give me like a wee bit of peace. And I would have always just stared at walls. I couldn't talk to anybody. My family knew nothing about it. I wouldn't speak to anybody. The only people I knew was like close friends. And they tried to help me, but it was really hard. Like they really did struggle. And I think it got to a point where it got so hard that I couldn't sleep at night, and I ended up getting to the point where I was in English one day and I was like, do you know what? This is the day I'm going to end my life. I'm going to end it today. And to actually, for the first time in about a year, it brought a smile to my face knowing that all my pain was going to be over. Every single miserable thing in my life was just going to be over, and I was just going to be free, and I was going to be happy that I just didn't have to feel anymore. It made me happy. And I just remember sitting in English and I felt like someone just pushed my back. And when I say that, when I exaggerate this, I exaggerate it as if it felt as if someone just pushed me. And at that point I was like, maybe there is something out there. Like it was just that we thought. I was like, maybe there is something out there. Like, but it wasn't necessarily me talking about God or anything. I was just like, maybe there is just something out there. And so that moment actually saved my life. For me making a really stupid decision so young. So it did get easier. So it did get a lot easier, I'm not gonna lie. So I kind of pushed through. Things were sort of looking up a wee bit. But then I started having to do my GCSEs. I started getting to a point in my life where nothing was really satisfying me. I felt like I had to walk away from people because I didn't want to do the same sort of things that they were doing anymore. I did want to change my life around again. I wanted to help myself, so I did. I stepped back. I stepped back from people, and it was a really lonely point of my life. Very lonely. So I was doing my GCSEs. I had some relationships and stuff too. So, but I think I used to say to my mom all the time that I don't understand what's wrong with me. I feel like there's something missing in my life. I feel like even if I have everything right now, even if I had so many friends, money, an amazing job, everything you think someone would love to have, I just feel like I just feel like it won't satisfy me. I just I just don't feel like it'll satisfy me. Um I feel like nothing will really make me happy. So I always sort of did really struggle with depression. It would have kind of been mild at some points and severe at other points. So I would have struggled with like OCD and obsessive thinking. I remember one time that um I was, I think, 15 or 16 at the time, and I was using an e-cig, and it's so silly. I accidentally spilled nail polish remover on my e-cig and I was still using it. And after I used it, I thought I had a brain tumor. I thought I was dying. I thought I had cancer. So that made me feel awful so bad. Like I had to start seeing counselors and stuff, seeing people and trying to get help. Because I genuinely thought I was dying. But I couldn't go to the doctor about it. I couldn't go to the doctor because I was so scared for them to tell me that I had a brain tumor, so I would have avoided it. I wouldn't have went. I I would have been the kind of person who would have been looking up loads of things and all, and just been like, just freaking myself out. So, but it got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore, and I think it was about 8 months later. I was like, I can't take this anymore. I'm going to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and I was telling him I was struggling with headaches all the time, but I think it generally was just me stressing myself out to cause the headaches. So I went to the doctor, and they they told me that I didn't have a brain tumor. Instant relief, instant. So um that was that's when my life sort of got a little bit better again. So there was always sort of moments like that in my life, like it would get really bad and then it would get a wee bit better. But it wouldn't take long for me to like fall back into depression, for like something else to take over my life. Um so I would say that I've never really fit it in with people very well. And I would say I've always been quite a lonely kind of a person. I would really struggle to make friends, and I feel like it's just because my mind thinks differently than a lot of people, that I always have struggled with it. So if I go into workplaces and all, I'm always looked as that really, really strange, weird, odd person. Um so but I'm going to get into the part where I met Jesus. So for a long time of my life, I couldn't understand God. I couldn't understand Jesus. I could not, because my dad was a Christian man. He went to church with us all the time, and he was a drug addict, and he would have drunk all the time. So it used to kind of confuse me, as if, well, that's not how I feel like that Christian stuff should be. It shouldn't be like that. Like, you say this, but you do all these other things. So I would have been so confused. And something happened in my life about a year back, and I couldn't cope. It was so bad. It was like my OCD again, but it was like obsessive thinking about thoughts. And I don't know if anyone's ever experienced anything like that, but if anyone has, it's not a nice thing. It's not a nice thing that ever happened to anybody, and I wouldn't wish on anyone. So my dad, he kind of he's still he he's uh came away from God, so he's backslid from church, and he's he would still take drugs and stuff, so that is still an ongoing thing. So I think there's just so many things that was happening in my life last year that I couldn't cope with any of it. I was wanting to get admitted to mental health hospitals, everything. I was I just I was locking myself in my room. I couldn't speak to anybody. I couldn't go to work. I was taking panic attacks every single day. I was having sleep paralysis all the time. And some of them were very odd, my sleep paralysis, but I will get into that another point. So how I met Jesus was, I was so desperate to live. I was so desperate to live. I wanted to live for my family and my boyfriend. I just really wanted to live for every single one of them, and I didn't want to hurt them. And but it was like in my head, I was like, I felt like I needed to die. I felt like death was the only way out of what I was feeling. And for everything I'd been through my life, I'd never been so low. I stopped eating. I couldn't get out of my bed. I was sleeping maybe 16 hours a day. I wasn't functioning at all. And it got to the point, I was like to my mom, I was like, I need church. I was like, take me to church with you, please. I was in work at this point. So I was in work, and I brought my mom in the middle of work and was like, take me to church now. Like, right now. I need to go to church. And she was just like, you're in work, you'll lose your job. And I was like, I don't care at this point. I don't care if I lose my job. I am desperate. I'm so desperate for something. So she took me to I the people in my work, they were so nice. They understood, they let me go. And I went with my mom, and she took me up, and her friend, I was talking to her friend, and I just broke down to her and was crying, and I said to her, I can't do it anymore. Like, I really can't do it anymore. And she said, do you want to be free? And I was like, I really, really do want to be free. And she said, well, just give your life to Jesus. And I was like, I did it. I gave my life to Jesus, and I honestly can say it is the best decision I've ever made in my life. I gave my life to God, and at that point, everything's been changing. Every single thing in my life has been changing for the better. I went home the day I got saved, and I started reading wee words and reading scriptures, like reading little Bible verses. And I at this point I was obsessed. At the start I was obsessed with Christian testimonies. So I was like listening to all different Christian testimonies, listening to how their lives have been changed, and the miracles that's happened in their lives. I was just like, I think I was like, if that can happen to them, that can happen to me. So I would say at the beginning, I didn't have a really spiritual awakening at the start. It was just kind of trying to understand it, more trying to like watch things, look at things to see how it is. And it got to the point where I was more desperate for God. So more and more I wanted him more. I was in work one time, not long after I became a Christian, and someone said to me that they don't think God wants everyone. And because I wasn't long saved, I freaked out and was like, what if he doesn't want me? What if God doesn't want me? So I had a wee Bible with me in work. I used to bring it every single day when I got saved. And I opened up, and as soon as I opened up, there was a verse which said, it was like, you know I want you because I called you. It was something like that. I'm not 100% sure what it was, but it was along the lines like that. And it was just an instant relief. Like, how could that just happen? Like, I just opened the Bible, and that they were the words I was thinking in my head, and I just got answered. And more things sort of started, like, more weird things, I would say, started happening. I was crying to my granny one day in her house, and I was crying to her, and I was like, it feels like God's so far away sometimes. And I was just crying to her, and she said, he's not far away. Like, he is a lot closer than what you think he is. And I was like, I don't know, I just don't feel him. Like, I feel like he's not with me. And as soon as I went into my room, a video popped up on my phone, and it said that I am a lot closer to you than what you think I am. And I just remember crying hearing that, as if he just kept answering me. So many amazing things have happened like that. Like, it got so common to the point I couldn't even remember them all. Because it just felt so normal. At the beginning, I felt God was speaking to me all the time. He was speaking to me all the time through things just randomly popping up my phone, and me watching them, and it would have been just instantly an answer to what I was talking about or what I was praying to him about. So I would definitely say that my life has miraculously changed. Miraculously. I would never want to go back to the way I used to be. Knowing that God is there and that he actually speaks to us, and that you can hear him, and he's alive and real and is always trying to contact us, is amazing. And I would just want everyone to experience that feeling, that experience of hope, like knowing that you're not in it on your own, knowing that you don't have to worry about your life because he will take it off your hands and do it for you. I think I'm in a journey at the minute, and it's more I'm trying to strengthen my faith. Um, so it's sort of the same. Like, things will happen. My life, my circumstances around my life are the exact same, but it's like I have it's like I don't have to hold on to it anymore, and I have a peace through it all because I know it's all going to be okay, and I don't have to worry about it because God is working everything out. But I would just say to every single person out there, honestly, give your life to Jesus. You would not be making a mistake. It's the best decision you could ever make in your life. And you'll have no regrets. You'll have no regrets because God does say that He works all things for good for the people who love Him. So I would just like to say that I hope yous all do okay, and if any of yous ever want to ask any more questions, like, just text me or anything, or send me your number on the comments or whatever, and like, just I will text you and you can just ask me as many questions you like. But yeah, don't ever give up, and know that there is hope out there for even the people who don't know Jesus. There is hope out there, and I'm 100% an example of that. So thank you. Bye.